Appreciate you all watching. This is the second installment of something different that I'm doing. It's called In the City. Come from a traditional background in radio, and I was able to interview a lot of different people, politicians, creators, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and I stopped doing that for 12 years. I did it for 12 years, and so I kind of made a transition, and I wanted to tell more stories, a little more gritty, a little more realistic, and that's what this is, In the City. So we kind of go throughout the area and find people who I think are interesting, and this guy met a couple weeks ago, man, and we became like brothers automatically. We just had a lot quickly, right? A lot of the same interests, man, but he's super dope. John Phelps is co-owner?
Yes, co-owner, partner. With Square One, an art gallery here in Gary, Indiana, in the Miller area, and you guys are gonna see some of the art throughout the video, but if you just look behind us, you see some really dope stuff. I'm a huge advocate for artistry and creativity. I believe that the artist should be able to shine and that creators need to be able to create. And when you walk into this joint, it's like your mind is taking so many places because there's just so much. You can easily get overstimulated, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
When you walk in. But John, I want to thank you, man, for doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate you taking time. I know you guys have a grand opening that you're doing this week. By the time this shows, the grand opening has already happened.
Great.
So, like, what's the preparation process? So many questions I want to ask. All right.
Yeah,
so
well, just ask.
How do you feel? All right. So, tell me your story. What's your origin story? What's your Peter Parker I got bit by a spider story? How did you get into the art world?
It's really just from being like being a creative, being around like different types of music, understanding that some of these people like struggle with drug problems. Why people, absolute favorite, David Ruffin, I mean, you look at these people who are characters, but like what they're still able to create. You have Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I mean, you have these people who are like extremely talented and like what they're able to create, and there are layers like to these people, I think that gets overlooked, but it's like separating that person from like their art. It's just like, it's like, man, this is crazy. Like, you can be a tripped out left field individual, but you can make something that's just brilliant, and so looking at that and like thinking like myself, it was like, I'm not this crazy flawed individual, I don't have drug problems or anything like that, but actually realizing that, man, these are just normal people, and it's like, all right, cool, we'll start looking into this, and see like these normal people, then being around the creative people, even from just like being in band,
How old were you when you first got like that creative bug?
This band was like 6th grade, so however old you are, like in 6th
14,
grade,
I think, something like that.
13, 14, something like that. 12, 13, okay.
What's school guy?
Yeah, and then and I just remembered like being in band, and it really interested me, man. A teacher was Mr. Phillips. Honestly, one of the 2 teachers that I have. I had more teachers than that, but I think that like really had an impact on me. He was one of them. Was our band teacher, and dude, we had like 80 something people playing, and he would whistle and stop the band, and he would call out somebody in trombone played the wrong note, and I thought, I was like, dude, how does he know that?
How do you know that?
And then it was like, all right, play again, and then it's like just the trombones, and then he catch it, and it's like, all right, cool. It was like, you guys play here, and then it's like to single it down. It's like, dude, that takes you actually have to be into this. So like Gary Carissern, that's where I came from.
Gary Carissern.
Shout Mr. Hurt.
Shout out Mr. Johnson, Mr. Steele, Mr. Stevens. I was student of the year like in 2006.
But it was crazy, and so like now like being in those spaces like where you're actually able to create, say like as a welder, you have like these projects, and that's essentially what I ended up doing for a living, and so I understand that you can have an influence, and when you have people that care, children notice that. I mean, it may not be the whole class, but they do notice that. There will be somebody to notice that. That's why I said, like Mr. Phillips, like that dude had like tremendous impact. Like, the guy really cared. And a lot of teachers, I mean, teachers spend so much of their own money for materials to help kids because they care, you know? And like, to my point earlier, that's what it takes. You know what? If you actually care, if you're actually concerned with what's going on, like, in the city, and I don't live in Gary, currently, I mean, I haven't lived in Gary for a little while. I live in Burns Harbor. It's not that far. It's 10 minutes away. But I'm in Gary every single day. I have friends in Gary, family in Gary, business in Gary, you know? And so it's like, so you can't turn like a blind eye, you know, and then...
So 6th grade, Mr. Phillips, then what happens next? Do you like get more involved in band, or do you kind of...
Yeah, I actually just like stayed in band for the rest. It was just like super cool, man, to be a part of that, especially at a young age. You know, I think we had like 80-something kids, you know, like in our like concert band. And I know like in the city, like in Gary, you know, that wasn't... We would go to like jamborees, you know, and smash, you know. And that was exciting. Not just like the competition part of it, but it was just like, yeah, man, like practicing and then going out there and letting people see like, yo, this is what we've been working on. And essentially that's what this is.
That's dope.
You know, it's just like, hey man, you know what? We've been working on this. Is a culmination of just like that practice. And that's like, all right, now y'all get to see like what we've been working on.
That's cool. So Square One, where did the idea come from for Square One Art Gallery?
You mean as in the name?
As in the concept, the idea, not just the name, but the idea of what this would be, what this space would be. Because you and I have had conversations about like fleshing it out, what it's becoming, creative space, but where did you guys get the idea for opening an art gallery?
Dork and I were actually talking.
Shout out Dwayne Redfield, Dork.
Yeah, Dork, that's my man. Great guy. And shout Aaron too.
Aaron, yeah.
Can't forget her.
Super dope.
Can't
artist.
forget.
Super
Can't
dope
forget.
artist. Don't you got a dope camp that you can
dude, I mean it's and like it's unreal, just like the friendship, and we haven't been friends forever, but we understand each other and we work really well together. Kind of like, you know, when I said like it's amazing that you meet certain people like at the point in time that you did, and it's like, man, how did I never meet these people like earlier before? But you know,
faces, but we just don't have the platform or the way to kind of be recognized or heard. So like you guys partnering together, making this thing like manifest is, like you said, beneficial for people like us, the people who need a way or a place to be able to express themselves. So man, I'm thankful. Just speaking from a creative standpoint, man. Thank you for. We don't have to go to Chicago now. You know what I'm saying? Like we have an option, and we can go home. Like Miller's my backyard, and I don't have to search for somewhere to go. Go right to Square One.
You know, and so and I think about that all the time. You know, it's like, well, why should we be skipped over? Right? That's like, because Hammond, they have an arts district, you know. Michigan City, they have the same thing. And we have the same thing here, like in Gary. You know, it's like, man, if you create something, just like we go there and spend our money there in Chicago, like in other places, like in those galleries, you have something here now where those same people that you see at those shows, they can come here. They can come here, you know? And I like I said, I think, honestly, that's a big part of it.
I've heard one song, but the reason I dug them is because of the name. I thought that was an interesting like symbolism. 6ix9ine. I was just curious, so I searched to see why he named it that. And so he said 6ix9ine. It just simply means what we just said. Like you look at something and you may see it as a 6, but to somebody else it's a 9. It doesn't mean that person who sees it as a 6 is wrong. It's perspective. And so with art and with culture, it's like you may say Kool Moe Dee is the wackest rapper in the world and defend Ghostface Killah, but then somebody on the other spectrum may say, like, dude, Ghostface is garbage, and I love Kool Moe Dee. He's like he's the GOAT, right? None of us are wrong. It's just our perspective. So you said the Huey is one of your favorites.
Huey is one of my favorites. The Illmatic.
That's Nas.
Yep, the Nas joint, and the Sade, because she's just like timeless.
So
classic.
Both of these are Sade?
No. Just this one.
Oh,
that
okay.
was Dorks.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So kind of explain to me a little bit about that one.
Just like the Sade, and man, and it was so cool because at first, like when I saw it, I was like, I didn't even really know that it was Sade, but then I looked at it some more, and I'm like, yo, it's so cool, man, and it's so timeless. And so to create something that will actually stand like through time,
Stand
no
the test
matter,
of eternity.
dude, like no matter what, like it's gonna be around. And like the replay value
Yeah.
in it, we talk about that often, like in here, it's like replay value. It's intense, dude. And you have artists like Nas, you know, like Sade. Dude, the replay value of like these albums when you listen to them, it's just like, yo, there was so much attention to detail. There was so much thought and passion put into these projects, and that's how they crafted something that essentially like stands through time, you know?
Which kind of makes me want to go into a hip hop debate. Like, so some of the newer artists in 2018, 2017, they don't have that replay value. So like in 10 years, you may forget about some of their content. You may forget about some of their artistry. But when you look back at a Kool Moe Dee, a KRS-One, a Nas, a Lauryn Hill, a Biggie Smalls, an Outkast, like you can play these joints for generations because of the content and the way it was crafted. Like, do you think that?
Well, so even now, Nipsey Hussle, Victory.
I love Nipsey Hussle.
I will be playing that 10 years from now.
Dedication.
Dude, from the start, dude. Victory Lap, Blue Laces. And you know what?
I just want to say this on record, though. I think Dedication has the best verse by Kendrick Lamar ever. I just want to put that up. That's like the best Kendrick Lamar verse ever. Go check it out. The things that's gratifying about artistry, it's not like an Instagram process. Like you post it and automatically you get results.
Not at all.
It can take hours, days, months. So how does it feel? And like you did some of the pieces in here, right?
Yes.
And not even just that, but how does it feel like that conversation in the car, just transitioning to got a few pieces on the wall. Now you have a whole literally a whole art gallery, wall to wall of creative pieces. Like, how does it feel walking into this, knowing that where you started?
Every time I walk in here, and this is with cameras rolling or not, this is with people in here or not, I left my phone in here the other day and I came back in, walked over to the counter to grab my phone, and I stopped and looked around and I said, dude, this place is crazy. What's even crazier to me is I have the keys to come in this place
Whenever you want to.
whenever.